Hey there everybody. Today we're going into our week number 2 of our open guard chapter, which is going to be all about the collar cuff bicep guard. The collar cuff bicep guard, let me just quickly demonstrate it out. Is a guard like so, where I have a cross collar grip, a cuff grip, one foot in the hip to maintain distance, and my second foot goes here in the bicep to maintain inside position on Adam's arm. So I'm able to pull this arm in front, keep this arm pushed away. I can have control of the head, and my foot here in the hip controls the distance. Now because I'm able to keep one arm in, one arm out, some of your favorite attacks from here are going to be triangles, getting the head in the arm, or omoplatas, just capturing just this arm if he dips the head. Okay, so we're going to look at a number of attacks out there. As we go through this series, you guys are going to see how we have attacks where I can pull my opponent forward into my attacks, or I can, if my opponent is pulling back and away, trying to avoid my attacks, then I can come back into him and we can start taking him in the other direction. So once again, we see action-reaction in play, or push-pull, as we often call it, or a multi-directional dilemma, where he doesn't really have a good option. If he pulls back and away, we have techniques to take him backwards. If he comes into us and drives in, to avoid the backward techniques, we have techniques to pull him forward. So really he doesn't have a good choice of whether or not he wants to go away or come into us. And that's the kind of situation we want to create. We want to create a situation where no matter what he chooses to do, we have strong options. Okay? So I'm first going to describe how to get into the collar cuff bicep guard and how to control it. We're going to look at getting into it from a supine guard, from on our back, and from seated guard. And then once we get into it, we're going to learn how to control the position a little bit and how to track that bicep. Once we learn how to do that, then we're going to start going into our attacks. Okay? So first, let's look at from supine guard, because this is going to be similar to last week's spider guard. Once again, when we're not engaged, I want to keep my knees above the hip line. I want to keep my hands here ready to engage in a grip fight. I don't want to allow him to get grips on me where I can't get grips on him. It's bad for me. So I'm here and Adam goes and gets grips on me for a Toriano. I immediately want to take my feet into the biceps. So if he tries to throw my feet to one side or the other, I'm going to catch. He's not going to be able to throw my feet. We never want to have a situation where he has grips on me and my feet are just floating here in the air. This is going to get your guard past, or at least he's going to put on a lot of pressure to pass your guard here by side-to-side pressure. He's going to make me defend. It's not going to be easy. So as soon as he touches, I'm going to take feet into the bicep and anchor my feet. We don't want floating feet. Now from here, I'm going to take grips on the cuffs. Now we've seen here in the spider guard, I can take my opponent up toward my hip line and go into sweeps there. Or we can pull him down to one of the best darn guards there is, the collar cuff bicep guard. So from here, I'm going to break one grip here, and I take that foot in the hip to maintain distance. Now from here, my left hand goes from the cuff, and I reach up here and I get a grip on the cross collar to give me a control of the head. Now from here, since I have 4 points of connection to Adam, I would consider myself to be in an offensive cycle because I can break his balance and his stance. With these 4 points of connection, if Adam were to go to get an angle on me and walk to one angle or another, these 4 points of connection will keep me glued to him. Will you please walk toward the logo so you face the camera? Perfect. Now from right here, actually let's keep going, right here. So now we need to make sure that we're being active with our left foot. If I'm just being pretty unreactive with my left foot and I just keep it here, Adam's going to pummel his hand to the inside, and that's going to start to destroy my guard. So as I feel Adam trying to pummel his hand, I want to follow with my foot in the bicep. If Adam takes his hand in toward his body to try to pummel underneath, like that, my foot comes down near the ribs and I leave no space. If my foot stays down and he goes over, now he can once again get to the inside, back over, and push my foot out, and now I have a floating foot again, not good for me. So if he tries to go over the top, I need to follow the bicep. Once he goes over the top, I follow, he goes underneath, I follow, and we want to get good at this skill of not letting him get inside. If he does happen to get inside, it's not the end of the world. I just need to be quick about repummeling my foot and stealing that inside position again. So if he goes again, either from under or over, doesn't matter, he steals the inside, I re-pummel, and I steal that inside position once again. So that's our basic entry from a supine position into the collar cuff bicep guard. Let's look at the same entry, or a similar entry, I'm sorry, from a seated position, where we're more mobile, and now I can start to engage with my hands a little sooner. So I'm here. If Adam's posture is too upright, and he's not giving me any sort of grips from the collars, it's very easy for me to start coming in and going into the legs. Now with the legs, I can start getting him out of balance, and we go into our ashigarami game or our X-guard game. We're going to look at those in a few weeks. Okay, that's coming. Let's now say that he is bent forward, though. He's guarding his legs. He's making it so I can't easily grab the legs going into ashigarami. When I see this kind of thing, I see his head is within reach. So I'm going to reach up, getting a cross-collar grip. Now, I don't want to sit here forever. There is a danger. As I reach high, some of your more athletic people might look to step up to the hip line. You can throw this leg over my shoulder, and you're going to land in a triangle. Right. Or you'll have people who jump over your guard into an arm bar and things like this. So you don't want to sit here with an extended arm for too long. And I don't want to reach too much. Adam's head is a little high. I don't want to overreach and expose my arm to submission entries. So I want to be kind of reserved. I reach up, I snatch, and I bring my elbow back down low so that he can't go into flying submissions. Now, Adam's approaching me with a square stance because we're drilling and we're shooting a video. We're not really engaged in grappling. But when we're engaged in grappling, most of your partners are going to come with a staggered stance because they know a square stance is bad for them typically. So the passer wants to approach it one leg forward, one leg back. So when I flex in my hand, I get this grip. I want to force Adam into a square stance. So I'm just going to give a pull to square him up. Okay, I'm going to take a step further back. If you step further, don't worry, just give a good pull and get him up to a square stance. From here, I throw my feet to the inside position. Now, if I just stay here for long, he's easily going to step out of the hooks, just like so, okay? However, I can use this position, a combination of me flaring my hooks out to widen his knees, either one leg, the other leg, or both at the same time, as I pull on the head. So as Adam tries to strip my hooks or whatever, I can really play with his balance. It's not easy for him to deal with this, okay? So once I have this position, I'm immediately going to look to get a cuff grip, foot in the hip to maintain distance, and my second foot in the bicep. And now we have our same position. Adam's going to try to pummel his right arm to the inside, and I have to trap above and below to make sure he doesn't do that. If he does successfully get inside, once again, I just re-pummel, and I steal the inside position back. And that's our collar cuff bicep guard. That's getting into it. Next. Now we're going to go into some attacks. We have attacks that pull our opponent down forward into our submission attacks and into we're going to look at a sweep as well. And then we also have attacks that take my opponent back and away if my partner is aggressively fighting back and away from me. We're going to look at attacks that pull him down forward first, then later we'll look at attacks that take him back and away. So however I get to the position, I get to my collar cuff bicep guard. Now, one of the best things you can do from any open guard or anytime you're underneath an opponent is try to break their stance and balance. I want to get them out of balance. I want to get them out of a good stance. So from here, what I'm going to do is I take my left foot out of the bicep and I place it here just above his knee. And now I'm going to do two things at once. One is I'm going to push the leg back and away to disrupt his stance. And as I said, kind of got him out of balance. But what helps is when I combine it with a pull on the collar. So as I step back and as I push that leg back and away, I'm also be pulling on the collar down to the side. And when I do both at the same time, I get a good off-balancing effect where I get this hand or the elbow down to the floor. Now with the hand down to the floor, I know the hand is not on me and I know the hand's not defending. So this is a great opportunity to take my leg up and over the shoulder and catch a trap triangle. Now we have a lot of good attacks out of the trap triangle. Our favorite is always going to be the front triangle where I control the collar tie. I take a scoop grip on the leg. I pull myself to an angle, getting my knee right into the neck. My right knee pulls down behind with my two legs pointing in the same direction, my two lower legs. Then I lock my figure four, I squeeze, and we have our submission. If you are a person who has shorter legs, and maybe you struggle to get to a full figure four, you can only get on the calf or whatever, a good option for you is to get a slight angle. I pivot off his shoulder with my right knee. My right knee goes to the shoulder, and I extend my right leg as I close my knee to the center line. I throw my other leg over, getting a good back heel on the head here to control the posture. And then we take a 3/4 arm bar from the bottom position, right hip up, and I pull the elbow and break it over the hip. One common response, we have the front triangle and the 3/4 arm bar. One common response from here is that he's going to take his hand, pummel it behind my head. From here we have good options too. I can either control the head, we can lock an opposite triangle like we saw a while back when we were doing the clamp, bridging up to expose the wrist, and I can take a Kimura grip on the arm and I can finish a Kimura. Another option we have out of the trap triangle is he tucks his hand back underneath to defend, and I take my right foot in front of the face and I start to push his head away as I sit up. From here I want to get really heavy on this shoulder as much as possible, so I want to lean forward, straighten my leg, getting that shoulder broken down to the floor. And now ideally, if I want to finish the omoplata, I want to scoot away from Adam's hips and pull his hips to the mat. Now I'm going to be able to swing my feet up to the side. I lean forward and I start to drive myself across Adam's shoulder line for omoplata submission. And out of many omoplatas though, they're very, very hard to finish. So as I'm trying to break them down, what will often happen is your partner will go to roll to avoid the submission and alleviate the pressure on the shoulder. Don't let this worry you, just come up on top. Try to get inside, keep your knees to your chest. Try to get inside the knees to stay past the guards. I'm going to come underneath the knees. And getting my knee and my elbow into the pocket of his hip to shut out his legs. And then we've got past his guard and swept him with an omoplata. So that's our first set of attacks out of the trap triangle. I put my foot on the leg. From this position, put my foot on the leg, push the leg away as I pull the head to break him down. Then we have triangle. I have a 3/4 arm bar. I have an omoplata. Then we had the Kimura in there as well, but Adam dipped his head out of the triangle, so we'll forego the Kimura for now. We have omoplata, either a finish or a sweep out of there. Another attack we can do. Even if we don't get the trap triangle, we can still attack an omoplata. If I cannot successfully off-balance Adam and bring his head and shoulders down to me, I can bring my hips up to him. So if he doesn't come to you, you go to him and you can attack an omoplata. Let's take a look. However we get to the situation, I get to my collar cup bicep guard. Now maybe I'm, trying to break him down, and this guy's a stud. He's got really good stance, balance. It's really hard to break him down. From here, I'm going to take my 2 feet, one stepping in the bicep, the other stepping in the hip, and I'm going to start to pick my hips up. Okay. Another thing that'll help you with this is pummeling your knee inside. Let's rotate, because I haven't talked about this yet. From this position, this is going to be a fight for elbow position. Adam wants to keep his elbow retracted into him and in toward his knee. Go ahead. Yes. So my knee is on the outside. So if I were to throw up triangles from here, or omoplatas, his elbow's free, and I'm not really going to get into an attack. So I want to try to pull this arm forward so his elbow comes in front of my hips. Now that's not easy to do on somebody who's bigger, stronger than you, and it's honestly even hard to do on somebody your own size. So what I like to do when he's got that elbow retracted is I'll extend my right leg and I'm going to pummel my right knee underneath his elbow to get my elbow inside, or my knee inside his elbow. So I just extend, I pummel my knee inside and I have the inside position. Now from here I'm going to punch my knee through and I'm going to start to push his hand into my pocket. So now when Adam tries to pull that elbow back and retract it to his body, it's not easy. It's pretty well stuck there. Now I'm going to pick my hips up, drag my hips up into his armpit, getting tight to the shoulder, and then from here I'll pass my right leg over, and we're here in another omoplata. Now from here I want to sit up, control the hips, break it down, get the finish, or he rolls through and I get the sweep. So you don't have to get to a trap triangle to attack an omoplata. You can attack it straight out of the collar cuff bicep guard, pulling that arm in and trying to get trying to get your knee inside his elbow. All right, so it's a fight for that elbow position. Let's look at one more attack that we have, drawing our opponent forward, and we're going to go back into one of our favorite sweeps from the open guard, the kickover sweep. So this time maybe I'll get it in from a seated guard. We're playing this game, I fence in, holding a square stance, I take my inside position, I'm getting out of balance, feet in the hips, foot in the bicep, and we have our position. Now from here, maybe I'm having trouble pulling him into omoplatas, triangles, things like that. Okay, maybe he's doing a good job with his elbow position, I just can't get the breakthrough. From here, I'm going to take my left foot off the bicep and put it in the hip, so that my other leg can go and wrap as a daily heba hook. This daily heba hook gives me a good ability to start drawing Adam's weight forward, okay, by pulling my knee to my chest and making this hook, and using my hook to draw his knee forward over my hips. So from this position, I want to start drawing him forward, but I only control one side of the body. If I go to pull forward right now, Adam can pull the right side of his body back and away, and I'm not going to get anywhere, okay? If my left hand was in a straight collar grip, instead of a cross collar grip, and he can't pull that side away, now I can start to draw him forward and getting him coming into the sweeps. So we have an option. We can either release our cross collar grip and go to a straight collar grip, and so I control both sides of the body. I control this side of the body through my cuff grip and my daily heba hook, and the far side through my straight collar grip, and that works. Otherwise, if we don't control both sides of the body, I need a stronger pull on the head and shoulders. So another option that you have is keep the cross collar grip, take your right hand off the cuff and go up here into the armpit. And now I've got two hands surrounding his shoulder. So now from here, I'm going to pull my knees into my chest, and I'm going to pull my hands into my chest to get Adam's weight loaded on top of me. Now from here, I use my left foot in the hip and my right hook underneath the hamstring to lift. And I take him up and over. And I come up with a kickover sweep. So those are our options. Pulling my partner down into me, going into trap triangles. For triangles, arm bars, omoplatas. I can go straight into the omoplata from the collar cuff bicep guard. Or I can pull him in, get his head over my head, and kick him over the top of me with a kickover sweep. So those are options pulling him forward. Now, there's another category of techniques here. Techniques that involve taking my partner back and away. Or rather, my partner is pulling back and away. And so I go with his power and momentum, and I start to come into him. And I either sweep him backward, or I come into him standing up, and we go into some other attacks. Okay, so out of this position, we're going to look at a tripod sweep and reverse tripod sweep. We could go into ashigarami. I can come up into ankle picks, or I can come all the way up to my feet and go into collar drags. So we stay on our butt with either tripod, reverse tripod, or ashigarami. We come up to our knees with an ankle pick, or we come up to our feet with a collar drag. Let's take a look at it. So again, I'm engaging with my partner. I take that collar grip, I pull myself to inside position, and I set my collar cuff bicep guard. Now, Adam knows I want to pull him down in, so he's starting to go back and away. Our tripod sweep involves me doing a side crunch, catching the ankle here, and my left foot goes here behind the knee. So we have 3 points of contact that are hitting the sweep. Your left hand can stand the lapel, that's fine. But I want to emphasize these three controls. Hand on the near ankle, foot behind the far knee or far ankle, anywhere from the knee to the ankle here, and my right foot in the hip. Now my goal is to get this foot light, so I'm going to push up into the hip with my right foot, and I'm going to pull on the heel in line with the toes, trying to get the foot off the floor. Once the foot comes off the floor, he falls down to his butt, and I can come up to the top position and score my sweep. The reverse tripod sweep is similar, but a little different. Out of the collar cuff bicep, I go, get the ankle. I go behind the knee, but now I have somebody who's going to try to step off the hook. Okay, he controls my ankle, he steps off, and now when I go to re-establish my hook behind the knee, he's not going to allow me to do it. So from here, I'm going to take my left foot, and I'm going to put it where my right foot is. My right foot comes off, and I go down here between the legs, and I'm going to swipe. So now I've got my left foot in the hip and my right foot behind the knee. So all we did was we swapped our 2 feet. We went from here to here. Okay, very similar. So once again, I'm here, I go for the tripod, he steps off, and he's not letting me back in. So I take my left foot to the hip, I get on my side, and now from here I'm going to swipe as I pull out on the feet, and I'm going to push. And I come up, top position with a reverse tripod sweep. Those 2 techniques work very well in tandem, as you saw. If he defends one, I just take the other foot to the hip and I swap, okay? Another option we have is to go into the ashigarami. You guys already know what to do out of there a little bit. We're going to spend an entire week going through ashigarami in the 4th week this month. So he puts hands on, feet in the biceps. I'm going to strip the grips. Foot in the hip, cross collar grip, and we're under our collar cuff bicep. Now from here, he's pulling back and away. I take my same grips as though I'm going into a tripod sweep. But this time, my foot comes off the hip, I punch it through, and I climb the leg. Now we're into our ashigarami, and now it's going to be a matter of either trying to get his knee to point to the outside for a sweep, or if he starts pointing his knee to the inside, we could reap the knee, right? If we're, depending on the rule set, I could reap here. Or, if I can't break him down with a single ankle sweep, I can try to bring him forward, score his second ankle, and now when he goes back up, now I've got both ankles controlled, and it's very easy to take him down. So some options out of the ashigarami. Got 2 more techniques to go through for our backward techniques. These are going to be techniques where my opponent pulls back and away hard, and I come up onto my knees for an ankle pick, or I come all the way up to my feet for a collar drag. Let's take a look at these. Once again, we set up, collar cuff bicep guard. Adam pulls back and away. When I feel him pulling back and away, I drop my feet, I windshield wipe my feet to one side, and I come up to my knees. Now from my knees, I'm going to take my elbow, and I'm going to point it at his heel. So I'm going to lean in, good strong body for me. I'm going to lean in, and I'm going to keep his head low, and I want to keep all of his weight over that one foot. You guys probably can't see it on the camera, but Adam's foot is starting to blade off to the side, and his weight's going onto his heel. That's exactly what we're looking for. I take my elbow, I point it right at his heel, and I hang on the collar with my body weight as I drive in. My right hand goes to the ankle, and now as I push on the collar, I pull on the ankle. And we get a good ankle pick down to the mat. We secure top position, we take our sweep. So the keynote there is to hang off the collar and then point your elbow at whatever ankle you want to pick and keep all the weight over that ankle. What we're trying to do here is take the head over one ankle and then pick that ankle out to get the sweep. That's the goal. So use that collar grip to take the head over one ankle and pull the ankle. Now, let's look at our last technique going backwards, the collar drag. In this one, I'm going to come all the way up to my feet. Okay? So right here, we're planning. I take that cross collar grip, I square his stance up and I get inside position. From here, collar cuff bicep. Adam starts pulling back and away. He continues to pull, and this time as I come up to my knees, I'm going to go all the way up to my feet. Back this way a little bit. So I come up to my knees, I could go the ankle pick, or I could step up first with the inside leg as he pulls back. One. Now I step up with my second leg, so it lands right on his ankle line over here. So that my foot and his 2 feet are all in a straight line. Now, as I step up, my hand on the cuff passes his hand inside. I don't want a situation where I go for the collar drag. Here's what we're trying to make happen. And expose the back. I've got to be able to pass his arm across my center line to create back exposure. We know this. So I don't want to go up and hit my collar drag here, where now he just comes down and hugs me, and I almost pulled him past my guard. That's terrible. That's a disaster. So we make sure to pass that cuff inside. He pulls back and away. I come up to my knees. I step up with the inside foot. I go outside foot. Now I pass his hand to the inside. I'm going to fall with my hips down to the mat as I pull on the collar. And I want to make a heavy hand. I'm going to look where I want him to go. I'm going to look where I want him to go, so I'm going to turn my body this way so everything's working in unison, and I try to make my hand heavy. So now if he tries to pick his head up, it's not easy. Now I'm going to rock forward over my foot. I come up, and I start taking the back. One other thing that can happen with the collar drag that you should be aware of. More athletic people are going to post their hands, they're going to stand their feet, and they're going to go into a 4-point position. That's going to make it a little harder to take the back, but when the leg is extended, it's very easy to scoop up a leg with a single leg, so I'll show this variation too. Adam pulls back and away. I come up. I go 1, 2. I take him down. He stays just like so. So when I see this happening, once again, I'm going to tuck my foot in underneath my hips, rocking forward over my foot. I'm going to hook his knee elbow deep. Now I start to stand up. And I complete with a single leg. So that's the long and short of our collar cuff bicep guard. We saw we have attacks where I pull my opponent down into me, and if we have attacks where my opponent goes back and away from me. If I can pull him down into me, we want to set up a trap triangle, going into triangles, arm bars, omoplatas, kimuras, and all of our favorite attacks out of the trap triangle. If I can't successfully get into a trap triangle, I can still attack the lead arm with an omoplata. I bring my hips up to their armpit and shoulder, and we can go into the omoplata there. If I can't isolate the head and arms, and I can't get into triangles and omoplatas, I can still go up, get good control of the shoulder, take a daily Hiva hook, and I can pull everything up overhead, and I can hit him with a kick over sweep. Those are our attacks going forward. If my opponent knows those attacks, and they start pulling back and away aggressively, now I'm going to start looking at techniques where I start going back into him. We have our tripod sweep and our reverse tripod sweep, where I use one hand on the ankle, one foot in the hip, and my second foot to take out the far leg. Whether it's a standard or reverse tripod sweep, doesn't matter, they're both excellent options. Out of that tripod sweep position, we could also pass our both feet to the inside position and go into variations of ashigarami. We can use the ashigarami then to score the sweep. Alright, if my opponent continues to pull back and away, now I can start coming up onto my knees and onto my feet. If I come up to my knees, take their head over their ankle, pick the ankle out for a sweep. If you want to come up all the way to your feet, feel free to do so, and then you're going to, once you get to your feet, you're going to aggressively rip that collar across your body, and then you're going to make that collar heavy as you come up in for a collar drag, where you literally take the collar and you drag it across and down. Okay? So those are the techniques. Trap triangles, armbar triangle omoplatas, kick over sweeps, going forward, going backward, tripod sweep, reverse tripod sweep, ashigarami, ankle picks, and collar drags. It's all there for you. When you guys learn all these techniques really well and you can work them in connection with one another, you're going to have a damn strong game out of the collar cuff bicep guard. One last thing I want to leave you with. The open guard is a very complex position. There's so many different variations of guards you can play. If you go on YouTube and you look up open guard sweeps, you'll see a ton of different options. So many different ways people combine guards over the years, so many different cool things they do. It can be almost overwhelming. You're entangled with your opponent. You're thinking, I don't know what to do. Should I go after daily Heva guard, or X guard, or collar cuff bicep, or spider guard? And by the time you come up with a solution, they're already past your guard because they're working on their guard passes while you're paralyzed thinking about which guard to use. So here's my word of advice. When you aren't sure what open guard to play, go to collar cuff bicep guard. We have ways that we can connect the collar cuff bicep guard to all of our other guards. It's a really good central hub guard to use. And it's a great guard for pulling our opponent down in triangles, which is an incredibly strong attack, and other submissions as well. So when you aren't sure what to do from open guard, go into the collar cuff bicep guard. It's one of the best ones out there. All right, we're going to show you other guards throughout the next few months, but when you aren't sure, go back to collar cuff bicep and reboot your game from there. That'll be a good starting point for you. Thanks for watching.